It's December. Will anti-Christmas forces keep school children from celebrating the true reason for the season? This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Carrie Earll, along with CitizenLink education analyst Candi Cushman. Hi, Candi.
Hi, Carrie.
Thanks for joining us today. You know, about this time of year, what we find are anti-Christmas forces like the ACLU, and other groups will start with lawsuits or threats of intimidation or sending letters to school districts to try to keep references to Christmas out of the public schools. Now, for parents, for teachers, for students, they can get kind of dazed by letters of intimidation. But what do they need to know? What are the high-level can and can'ts for the public schools at Christmas?
Well, first of all, they need to know that, yes, teachers and students can say Merry Christmas. Believe it or not, we've seen cases where public schools are actually, either because they're misinformed or getting bad information, telling teachers that they can't say Merry Christmas or you can't call it a Christmas party. I think there was even a recent case where a college tried to ban using the word Christmas for their Christmas trees. So it just gets crazy. But actually, both students and teachers have a strong free speech right to say Merry Christmas and to give a commonly recognized greeting, you know, that's recognized in our nation and in our culture.
Well, that's good to know, because that comes up at retail stores and really all over this time of year. Can you say Merry Christmas? Another issue that comes up in the school sometimes, Candi, is the giving of Christmas-themed gifts. What do parents and students need to know about that?
Well, again, students have a free speech right to exchange Christmas cards, even with religious themed messages, with their friends, as long as they're doing so, Carrie, in a way that doesn't disrupt classroom time and they're following the school rules on that. But they absolutely can exchange gifts, give one another Christmas cards that have a Christian themed message.
Now, I would expect there could be situations in classrooms where kids are following these general rules, but the teacher or an administrator says, hey, you can't do that. What do parents need to know if their child comes home and says, I was told I couldn't say Merry Christmas, or I couldn't give a Christmas-themed gift to a classmate?
Yes, and you know, that happens way more than it should. And really the first thing they should do is just stop, take a breath, and think through the fact that actually the school official may not be they're not the enemy here. A lot of times school officials are just responding to bad information. They're responding to fear and intimidation tactics that they're often receiving from left-wing groups out there that are really trying to intimidate school officials into thinking that they basically have to eradicate any mention of Christmas, and that's just not true. The courts have said otherwise. And so what I recommend is the best approach is just to politely and in a grace-filled way approach that school official with some information that gives them a more balanced view of it. Some information from nationally recognized groups like Alliance Defending Freedom is a good group. They have a memo on Christmas in public schools. They have a myths and facts sheet that's a great resource to give educators. There's groups like Gateways to Better Education that has actual instructions and tips on what teachers can do. So lots of resources out there. Come prepared with those resources when you talk to your educator. And you also want to start with the person in charge, like the teacher in charge of the classroom, and not jump over their heads, because that tends to burn bridges, and a lot of times you're sent right back there to deal with them again. So, you know, just start with them and give them some information that'll be helpful, not just complain about it.
So use the chain of command, don't make assumptions, but be armed with good information. And we're going to make links to several of these memos from legal groups available on our website right below this video. So where you would see this video available at citizenlink.com, we'll make those links available as well. So Candi, in closing, do you have any tips or guidelines that parents and students and teachers even should follow as we continue to move into the Christmas season?
Right. Well, if you're a parent or student, it's a good idea to ask schools to acknowledge or recognize the holiday. You don't want to pressure them to maybe celebrate or participate in it, because that might put them in the position of maybe promoting, you know, a religious event or doing more of a worshipful kind of event. But they absolutely can acknowledge and recognize the holiday and its Judeo-Christian roots as part of our cultural history. So ask them to acknowledge it. It's also good for educators to approach this by using a mix of religious and secular components. That puts you on good legal footing. So if you want to have a nativity scene out in your classroom to reflect the cultural roots of the holiday, that's good, but you'll probably also want to have some other secular components, winter themes, snowmen, snowflakes, what have you, just a mix. And that also goes for Christmas carols. Every year we hear about people trying to ban religious-themed Christmas carols, but that's false. They have a right to sing those Christmas carols in public schools. But if you're putting that together as an educator, you want to have some secular songs in there as well as religious, because you don't want to have a completely religious program like you're advancing a form of religion, but you can reflect our culture. So does that make sense? That's a good, yeah.
So there's some common sense steps that you can take to keep a balance of what the courts have said you can do, what's constitutional with your free speech right, but still keeps the schools protected as far as possible lawsuits in action.
Right.
Good. Well, great information. Thank you, Candi. Thanks. And this time of year, that's information we need to have as we're parenting and grandparenting and teaching and administering in the public schools. So thank you. And thanks to all of you who write to us to share your thoughts and to tell us what you think about our program here. You can always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. That's mail@citizenlink.com. Keep saying Merry Christmas, and remember, stand tall and be heard.